Let's bring in Dalia Grybauskaitė now. She is the former president of Lithuania, joining us live today. And Madam President, thank you so much for your time. As you've heard, Russian forces continue to assault Ukraine, and of course a convoy of military equipment still sitting outside the capital, Kyiv. Western sanctions are one thing, Madam President, but is the West doing enough, in your view, to halt this unfolding war in Ukraine now in its 8th day?
Not. And even sanctions are not sufficient. They do have a lot of loopholes, including that we do not throw out about 30% of Russian banks, especially who's serving energy sector. And this is, it looks bad. That means that, again, we're thinking more about our own interest than about what's happening in Ukraine. In Ukraine, really, it is a European war. And we still try to avoid to fight Putin. If we will not stop Putin in Ukraine, he will be on our borders.
And of course, that is perhaps your greatest fear right now. What does Putin want? Because if this does indeed escalate, the fear is that his forces could also invade the Baltic states, perhaps even try to take Lithuania, for example, or even to a lesser extent, cut off your oil and gas supply. Is that a real threat at this point?
It is nothing to guess about. He already told what he is planning to do, what his views about the world order are, and not once but few times. So, and that means we need only to hear what he's saying. For him, Ukraine is just beginning. He has no choice. If he started, he will go ahead. And why it is important for us militarily to be more involved? Because it is already a European war.
So, Madam President, tell us about the situation on the ground there in Lithuania right now. What can the country do to defend against this potential assault?
As we saw in Ukraine, the main tool probably against such kind of aggressors is the political will and the people's will to defend themselves. And this is the case in our country also, as we're now seeing this in Ukraine. And that's the largest deterrence tool. The second largest deterrence tool, of course, is NATO presence, the military equipment, defense equipment, of course. And of course, we are receiving these promises. But as we saw in Ukraine, promises are not enough. Visits are not enough. We visited Ukraine each day, and what? And now we're looking how they are bombarded. That's quite a pity, because it looks very much that the West is afraid of Russia, and we're demonstrating it. The West is going on the very thin line between our postures to be complicit with the criminal or war criminality, what we are seeing on the ground. And this is really, we are trying to choose the shame instead of fight.
Madam President, this is Hadley in Dubai. I've been covering the NATO meetings and the meetings in the EU for 10 years or so. And many times I had the chance to speak to you on the sidelines of those meetings. Do you believe that the West sleepwalked into this crisis? And by the West, I mean the main players in Europe, in Western Europe, like France, like Germany, like the United States.
I do. And I think that still today, they're trying to neglect the reality. Putin is unstoppable if we will not stop him. And to try to delay and push the problems and wait, maybe something changes. He sees our weaknesses. And today, the side who is avoiding to enter into the war is the weak side. And that's exactly the West is in this situation. And Putin sees that and knows it. It's for us a surprise that Putin's army is not as strong as we thought. Putin's army is demotivated. And that's exactly the background for us to be more offensive and more engaging into military support to Ukraine, because Putin is capable to be stopped in Ukraine, and we need to do it.
The Western response, as you say, should that worry Eastern European countries that are a part of the NATO alliance, like Lithuania?
Yes, of course, because as I said, response is quite weak. It demonstrated very clearly that the West is afraid to engage with Russia on military scene, and Putin knows it. And Putin already mad enough to engage and to attack and to be aggressive towards everybody, because he's in the corner and he has no other choice. But we have the choice. We have the choice to choose between shame and war.
Yeah.
And we know what Churchill said. If we will not choose to fight, we will have shame and war.
Yeah. We've seen 8 days of this conflict. It's been all over social media, all over TVs, globally. The eyes of the world are on Ukraine. But what is the realistic assessment, in your view, of A, how long this conflict can hold the public interest, and B, what the Ukrainians realistically can do to keep Vladimir Putin from taking over their country, given the fact that the West has only sent them weapons?
We send the weapons, but not enough and too late. And we still could send more efficient weapons, and we need to do this. And I think this war, no matter how long the military actions will take place, but the implications to the world already unreversible. And we are in new reality absolutely all around Europe and in the world. And the weaker West will respond, the longer and more painful it will be also to the West. So why it is important to be fast in reaction, to be strong in our reaction, and to be very serious in supporting our partner, NATO partner. It's not just member, of course, but Ukraine is NATO partner, and we're letting them down today.
Madam President, what's your view just on this issue with regards to Ukraine's request to join the EU? Does that need to happen now?
It is timely, and I think that Ukraine is earning on the field of battle every minute its membership. And I think our countries will be absolutely supportive of their membership, because their people are earning this in the field of battle.
I also wanted to ask you about the Lithuania-China relationship, because, of course, Lithuania allowed Taiwan to open a de facto embassy there. Why did you do that? And how do you think it implicates the relationship with China, which appears pretty frosty at the moment?
No, that's a question not to me. I am not present in office. And during my time, there was no very friendly relations, but it was not also such deteriorated relations. So that's a question not for me. In my understanding, we went a little bit overshoot it too far. And to create additional enemies around us this time, and it probably was too much.